Testing, testing, testing. Namaste from India. Namaste to you too. These aren't showing up on on my restream chat thing, so I'm just gonna have to read them off of YouTube and hope that restream will show me Twitch and DLive chats. Who's gonna start? I gotta go. Did you figure out whatever you needed with your computer? Kinda, yeah. I'm in the process of figuring it out, but yeah, it's going well. Let me know if you need more help. Thanks, Rachel. Good evening. You've been having a good evening. I think you've been missing my comments on a few of your videos. I don't know if it gives you notifications when I comment or not. It's supposed to, Brad, but I mean, sometimes maybe there's like a certain threshold where YouTube won't give me notifications anymore. Like once you hit a certain number of like views or something, but I'll have to go through my comments and see, because I certainly like seeing comments from you. Let me put that in my to-do list here. Here we go. How's last night? Last night, I'm wondering why. I thought by sex you meant without sheets. I was kind of surprised when I saw everything covered with sheet. Do we assume too much? Well, you should assume that everything in this project would operate about the same as it would operate in normal life, and so I think that would be that's the, let me just look this word up. Yeah, that is the analog that you should use. Why did he not shave? Why did I not shave? Because you mean my face? I'm assuming that's what you mean. And I'm just gonna let it grow for a little bit longer. Probably, I might shave it at the end of the year, but we'll see. That could be. Thanks, my friend. That was boring. What advice can you share to some people who will follow your footsteps? I mean, those who we plan to do live streaming. Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I'm actually working on, I started like the very preliminary beginning steps of working on like a book that would talk about, let me just chat over here so I'm not staring off, that would talk about how to, like, basically just how to do what I did and things that would make this easier. And so at some point, maybe like early next year, I want to like put that out like a resource for people who, if they want to do something like this. I am sort of like the only source of information that could tell you like really how exactly to do this, because nobody else has done like exactly what I've done this year. So while other people may have bits of the information, I have the conglomeration of the information. But I will not hold it hostage at a great price. I will make it available. Can you see this, AV555? Yes, I can see this. See. Hi, Michael. Well, everyone is going to ask you, but last time I'm actually going to ask a live stream question. How long did you test it out before 2019? Before 2019 hit. That's a really good question, Fez. I'm surprised no one's asked that before. I started testing. So before I started this project, I knew nothing about live streaming. I'd never live streamed anything ever, and so I started like just trying live streaming on my phone and stuff, and just like trying to get acquainted with the bare minimum understanding of the technology and the softwares and how to do it off a computer, everything. I didn't know anything, and so I started that process like late October, and by November I was experimenting with like real gear and stuff, and I think I got the equipment in November, like the modems and the live view and the camera and stuff, and started messing around with that. And then I did an official like practice week in December with Ethan, and that was sort of like proof of concept. Everything worked reasonably well. I figured out a lot of important things, and then it was just sort of getting set up for the actual thing. So short answer, about 2.5 months of prep and testing, and then about a month before that of just like thinking about the idea and whether or not I want to do it. Hola, Michael, desde Mexico. Cool. Michael Gerry, the founding father of Livestream. I have an important question, actually, considering how you're considering how you're now just kind of blowing up all over the internet, especially on a lot of adult sites. Will you ever consider doing something like this again? I don't know. I think that the way that I'm doing the project right now is obviously to be it's to be the most like experimental form, like the most radical form that I think is practical for my life. And so that's why I'm like, it is continuous, it is absolutely everything, but part of the deal with that is it's not very sustainable long term. So the fact that I'm able to do it for a year, or 3 weeks shy of a year now, and I hope to complete it, obviously, I think is really impressive. And I think that it's a testament to human will in general, because this is not easy to do. It's not an easy thing to do. And I'm no one to this camera, just whatever, I'll deal with that later. I'm no one to complain compared to like obviously a lot worse situations, but this is a voluntary place I put myself in. And I think that if I were to do the project in the future, or a variation of it, then it would probably be a variation of it, just that. So it would be like certain days of the week, or like not include everything, or something that would make it something that's like slightly more enjoyable to do, and doesn't make it impossible to have a normal life as well, if that makes sense. Or after this, is that it? Yeah, but I'm not sure, Rachel, though. I'm not totally sure. Risky Tune 77, hello. That's a lot of prep. Thanks for answering. Absolutely, Fez. Yeah. Actually, I felt like it wasn't a lot of prep, because realistically, I should have prepped for like 6-8 months, like really getting things set up and figuring out, like slowly more and more tests, do a month at a time and see how that goes, and then revisit everything and watch all the footage and figure out the best ways to archive everything. That's what I should have done, but a lot of things pointed me in the direction of doing it on January 1st. It's more monumental, and one of the biggest things is I want to make sure I was the first person to do it, because you obviously get a lot more recognition, and you get a lot more just leeway with projects like this if you're the first one. So it's a bigger deal if you're the first. So I want to make sure that I was the first. I felt like there was a chance that maybe someone else was going to start it on the first. You know what I mean? I don't know. So how long does it work? How does it work? Do your cams record to mean actually have memory cards to store, or just transmit over YouTube? I actually do have a memory card in my camera, but I only use it, or historically I've only used it if I hit like a really bad no service patch. So the only times I've really used it are like when I took a train to Los Angeles. There was a couple periods where there were like an hour or so where there was no service, and so what I did was I just recorded and then uploaded it, and that's kind of against the nature of the project, but at the same time, like, I was going through every possible way to be able to live stream that journey, you know. Like, obviously if I took a plane, that would have been a big blackout period. So I just gave it my best shot, and that was kind of like the best solution I could come up with. There are physical limitations, technological limitations, but working within those, I think I found the most like total way to do it. You missed my question, James. Let me check here. Yeah, I might have. The chat's kind of funky. One of the things it's not. Yeah, it doesn't show it to me, James. Ask again if you don't mind. I think I'd fail in the first week. AG, you would not fail if it meant a lot to you. When did you find time to co-write that symphony? I've been a pretty avid viewer. Never saw you guys working on it. Pauline, I actually wrote that song, or the song that GP used, that he like remixed and then made ready for an orchestra. I wrote that when I was a senior in high school, and there's like a video on my YouTube channel of me playing it, but I haven't like done a piano composition or anything in a long time. But GP just liked that song, and he just made like a way cooler version of it, and then played it with an orchestra for his church, and it was dope. Super, super cool. If you guys haven't seen that, you should look up Eleria. That's Eleria on YouTube. It's GP from the chat, and he did this church performance, and he performed a song that was sort of like a collab between me and him, and it was really cool. You'll see it in the timestamps on his performance videos, his most recent live streams. Howdy, I do not have any questions. What's up, Toshi? Where are all the mods? No one come up. Shelby's there. Who is your inspiration doing this project? My inspiration, I would say my most immediate inspiration is someone named Arya Inthavong, because the thing that gave me the idea for the project, like the impetus for it originally, was this video called How Streaming My Life for a Week Destroyed Me, and it was a BuzzFeed video done by Arya Inthavong, or Inthavong, I think that, and it was a good video. It was a really well done video. I liked it a lot, and it really got me interested in this space and this idea, so that's why I did it. But I wouldn't say I'd necessarily looked to him as like a role model since beginning the project, because the idea for me is just, do my own life, and so there wasn't a lot that. Plus, I reached out to him. I tried to get like information from him. I even offered to pay him for like consulting, but he just never responded to my Instagram message. But he's probably a busy guy, so I just didn't see it. BuzzFeed, got a lot going on. Am I muted? James, you're not muted. I just didn't see your message. I'm just gonna watch. After watching early live streams such as January streams with your buddies, I found out we've a lot matured than then. Do you have any time to reflect on early live stream days? Yeah, I spent like the whole month of April. The whole month of March, and then a lot of April, just watching back the footage from like January and February, and sort of like, just when you watch the footage back from like a football game or something, and you just pick out things that you did well and didn't do well. Imagine that, but just with your whole life. That was just kind of what I did for a month and a half, and I made some changes based on that experience. I wouldn't say I'm particularly like a lot more mature than I was back then, but I definitely do some things differently. So, Michael, are you excited for NYC Chicago? I am. I'm very excited. How far are you going to take the facial hair? I think max. Actually, I don't know. It could go longer, but I'm guessing I might shave it before the end of close to the end of the year. Is being uncomfortable something society needs more of? Example, we don't challenge our beliefs because it makes us uncomfortable, so we lazily follow what others think, which prevents new thinking. I have no idea. That's not my answer. That's the username that asked that question. And I think that's a good question. Is being uncomfortable something that society needs more of? I think in a vast and vague sense, yes, we have to be uncomfortable because we are not like in a natural environment where our impulses and like just like our basic desires to do things would make sense and make us healthy. So, for example, it's comfortable to like sit on the sofa and watch TV all day because we've invented TVs and sofas, and those don't really line up with like our impulses as like natural animals. And so in that sense, you know, it is important to get out of to become uncomfortable, to remove yourself from that comfortable position and like be slightly mobile, right? Move around so that you don't develop like very serious diseases and die rapidly. And I think the same thing applies to like eating and stuff. And I'm sure that you could extrapolate that to apply to a lot of social situations and maybe our belief systems too. But that's definitely a deeper question than I could answer. Okay, so you can play for us what the original music sounded like. Yeah, I can. I've played it a couple times before. I'll definitely play it again at some point. You'll probably notice that it sounds similar. If I play some piano tonight, then I'll make sure to include it. Hi, Michael. What are you going to do after your live stream? Will we see more of you? You will probably see more of me somewhere, at least on my other YouTube channel. I'm not sure what exactly you'll see or when or how, but I think that I don't plan to go off the face of the earth. You know, I don't plan to disappear permanently, if that's what you're asking. Some people might have hypothesized that. You look like a teenager boy back then. How sure are you that your old friends left you because of the stream project, not because of your attitude? I didn't necessarily have any old friends. Well, let me think about that. The main example of that was that like I referenced in previous times talking about that issue was someone that was very directly because of the stream. But I think that friendships like me and Sam Clem's not being friends anymore, that had probably more to do with my attitude. I think the stream was involved a lot, but I think that had more to do with our collective attitudes and the abrasion between them at the time, due to a variety of circumstances, than it did the stream. But I had another friend whom I ran into at a bar, like the popular USC bar, and she was very displeased that I had a camera on me. So that was another example of definitely a stream project, not my attitude. But I don't think that I've had any other friends, like, I think left me is probably not the right term in the first place, but I don't think I've had any other, like, friendships sort of disintegrate this year. You look very different right now. A lot of things to look forward to this month, particularly the end of the stream. Is that end of the year party still happening? It is. Fez, if you want to come out, you're more than welcome. Amy Whammy, did you get around to the best LaCroix flavor, passion fruit? I have not tried that flavor yet. I'm not really into that into flavored sparkling waters right now. I've just been kind of feeling the unflavored sparkling waters recently. That's been sparkling my mouth. James L's question, you didn't see two times you had sex under the blanket last night. Oh, yeah. So the reason, James, that question didn't get shown is because there's like an auto thing on YouTube's chat that just, if you say certain things, it just won't show the question. So that's why the mod can say it, but I can't. You had sex under the blanket last night. What happened to your commitment to show everything on camera? I think that you need to go back to the beginning of this stream and listen to my answer. He doesn't want to answer my question, obviously, but I'm okay with it if he's not comfortable. If you play the piano tonight, would you come to Tamu to play it? Sunday. Probably not, because there'd be a lot of people studying. I'd probably just play in my room. Okay, thanks. Describe the 3 most memorable interactions with viewers. I think the number one would be Toby picking up Ethan, dressed as a chauffeur with a sign. When Ethan landed in Austin, that's got to be number one. Number 2, number 3. I mean, I'm sure that they would be something involving Josh and Shelby, because those are the two. But last night was pretty memorable. I could add that as well. But then probably, I don't know, it would definitely be something with Josh and Shelby. Last night, Toshi was part of that, so he makes on the list there. I love your Winter Wolfpack song. GP did a great job. You were talented. You wish you write more songs. Any stories behind that song? No real stories behind that song. I actually did write a piano album that song was a part of, but the rest of the songs on it are not very good. Not that song is particularly good, but that's probably the best song on there, if that says something about my piano writing. Hey guys, just coming from my staff Christmas party. Cool, Naomi. He said he didn't see it. If he didn't want to answer it, he would have said so. The Lifestream page. Thank you, Shelby, by the way. The Lifestream page is starting to become popular. It would be dumb to stop it. Yeah, but I do a lot of things that a lot of people think are dumb. It's just there's more to life than monetary and fame-based success. I'm moderately drunk and won some prizes for my district. Congratulations. You mentioned a while ago about starting a paleo diet. Did that happen? I would say I'm moving slowly in the direction of it, but it will not officially begin like full scale until I live in my vehicle. And part of that is for the sake of just like, it's kind of a long explanation, I guess. It's not really worth getting into, but things like rice and stuff, and most bread products and stuff, I've kind of been cutting out. And so right now, the only things that I sort of eat that aren't paleo are mostly like legumes and cheese, but those will probably leave my diet as well come January. I do a couple messages retracted here. Not sure what that's about. Tell us 5 nice and true things about Ethan. Definitely not Ethan. All right, 5 nice and true things about Ethan. Ethan's a very fast runner, and Ethan can do cool frisbee tricks. Ethan has a relatively high discomfort tolerance. Ethan can survive off of very few groceries. Ethan always tries to be nice. Alright, there it is. It would be cool to see viewers celebrate with you. That being said, what are your plans to accommodate visiting visitors? I'm sure there's plenty of visiting want to know. Yeah, as anyone who comes is welcome to stay at our place. You can't stay in my room. You can't stay in Ethan's room, but you can stay in, you can stay in either of the spare bedrooms. You can stay on the sofas. We have an extra mattress, twin mattress. You can sleep on there. You can sleep on the floor if you want. You can sleep anywhere you want in the house, except for my room and Ethan's room. So, come and be accommodated in that way. The first people to come who are definitely coming will get dibs on whichever spaces they want. Like Ali C said, he's booked tickets, so Ali C will get a bed. Sorry, I'm studying for. I won $500 Michael Kors watch. That's any Google Home system. That's dope. I wish I could come if I didn't leave 9 1,000 miles away. Plus my steps. Ethan thought Toby was Judd. I'm like, well, now that we're almost at the end of this project, did it play out the way you imagined? Have you had a good time doing this project? I have had a good time doing this project. For the most part, I've really enjoyed it. It did not play out the way I imagined. To be completely honest, I thought that this idea would go much more exponential in terms of audience towards the second half of it. I thought it would go totally, like, just to the moon. I thought there would be 1 million subscribers, you know what I mean? And I thought that I would be famous for doing this, whether I liked it or not, and whether famous or infamous or a combination of both. And I thought that that would be something that I would have to deal with for the rest of my life. But I think that it's panned out in a way that, in a lot of ways, is a lot better than that, because pretty obvious reasons. My life is just way more reasonable right now, and it's more normal than it would be if it was like that, and I really appreciate that. John 3:16 has to be one of the most memorable moments of the stream. I agree. You said Winter Wolfpack is part of your piano album. Is it available on digital platforms? It's not like available anywhere. I just have like 2 CDs of it that exist somewhere, and it's on some drives, some backup drives, but it's not something that's like would ever be for sale or anything. Maybe I would, if people wanted, I could like just put it down and do it or something at some point, but it's stuff I wrote in high school, you know, and I was in some ways a better pianist then than I am now, but mentally I was not as mature. Obviously I was in high school, and so it's like pretty basic stuff, but I knew it was basic when I made it. I called it Thin Sheets of Colored Glass because each one of them is like very shallow, and they're just slightly different color songs, but none of them are very profound. Final ask a sex question. Is it in a way relief that you finally ticked off a list of things people expected you to do on the stream? Not necessarily one that people expected me to do, but it is a good question, Pauline, and I'm glad you asked it, because it is a relief for me. I said it in a couple Q&As that was something that I wanted to include in the project. Obviously, if it occurred naturally, because it's a part of human life. It's a part of my life. Obviously, like I'm a 22-year-old male, and in my average year, I do have sex like once or twice. And so yeah, I wanted to include that, and I'm glad that it happened. But I certainly don't think that it was in any way like Rachel being like a tool for achieving that end. You know, I think that the best way to describe it would just be as something that has happened in the past in that project, but just was not able to be shown before, and now is available to be shown. Say 5 words or phrases that would make Ethan laugh without explaining why. Poo-poo platter, stool softener, big kahuna, pine needle duffel bag, and margarita mix. Your attitude towards Davy lately has been very unacceptable. What's your problem with her? Thank you, James L. I like all your questions. I don't have any problem with her. Paleo is the best. Why would you live with Ethan when he has smelly feet? That's a really good question, Lance. It wasn't my choice. He moved here, and it's been super hard to get him out. It's like having fleas. I always feel amazing when I do it. Yeah, definitely. When you live in your car, how are you actually going to make your own food? You make a lot of food yourself, so how are you going to navigate this? I'm going to use canned fish and fresh vegetables and fruits, and I'm going to make sort of like a version of, I'm going to do the same thing more or less that I do now. I'm just going to make like one thing all the time and eat that, but with substituting certain ingredients. Say 5 things Harley would say to you if he could talk before you part ways. James L., I should just mention that I think it's very admirable that you have no people in your life whom you have disagreements with. And I think that you are very brave for having that position, and you should share your advice with the world and tell them how they can be morally perfect. I always thought you'd get super famous after the project. Hi, Michael. Been a fan of this project since October. I wish you well in your next journey. Congratulations in advance for the successful project. Thank you, Michael. Hey, dude. Hope your year is coming to an and greatly and as expected. After the project ends, I wish you the best on whatever comes in plans. Thank you, Omar. That's awesome. Appreciate that. Good to hear from you. You've done a lot of things to improve yourself mentally and physically over the past year. Do you think that humans are obligated to better themselves? That's another good question. Do I think that humans are obligated to better themselves? I think that if you better yourself, that in most cases you're gonna make the people around you's experience better, and so, and you're probably gonna make your own experience better in a lot of ways too. So whether you come at life with like a selfish or an altruistic angle of attack, I think that it's good. It would be a smart thing to do to try and better yourself as much as possible, and obviously balance that with enjoyment and pleasure. But to try and be on an upwards, to try and be on an incline rather than a decline, is a sustainable way to live that should make your life better as things go on. But some people go on declines, unplanned declines. On planned declines, not unplanned declines. Now the project is ending. Would you say it has been successful? If yes, why? If no, why? I'll only be able to answer that after January 1st, because it will be successful if I complete it. Would you ever throuple with Ethan and Davy? I'm asking because you seem really close. No, I would not. Say 5 words or phrases that would make Ethan nervous without explaining why. I can only think of like I would say Plan B, bird sounds. One of them I wouldn't want to say because it actually wouldn't even make him nervous. We talked about it on the stream a lot. I don't know. Ethan does get nervous about a lot of stuff, so those are the two that would come to my. No slop though. Yeah, there won't be any beans and sweet potatoes, so slop will be missing main ingredients. Definitely not Ethan. I don't see your question. This is a Q&A. Still waiting for B to appear. Just watch her be lady. And there will be a special hangout with stream chat at the time this ends. That's a good question. Will the last moments on the stream be talking directly to the stream? That's a really good question. At the very least, I would be checking chat with my normal camera, but it's possible. I'd have to think about it as we get closer, because we're going to have a bunch of people from the stream here in person as well. And so, yeah, I think it's a good question. I think likely, yeah, we'll come up here and do some sort of like end of the year, like Q&A hangout thing, you know. Have you ever known anyone to not be faithful to their girlfriends? What are your opinions on being faithful? Yeah, I've known a lot of people to not be faithful. I've probably known fewer people who have been faithful to their girlfriends than people who have not. Myself included, if you count me and my 6th grade girlfriend as dating. My opinions on being faithful are that you are stupid if you're in a relationship and you're cheating on your person you're in a relationship with, and that's pretty disrespectful. You should just break up with them and wait till you're at a more mature point in your life where you're ready to date one person, or where you're dating someone who you like enough not to cheat on them. So yeah, I think that you're pretty dumb if you cheat, but I don't have any problem with like cheating with someone's girlfriend. That would not bother me morally, and I think it's a very controversial thing, but I just think that it's I mean, so much of dating is so dumb in my opinion, and I think a lot of it's a waste of time, and that's none of my business, but I don't like that. I don't like dumb things to get in the way of my life. So It would not bother me. You just have to worry about like getting beat up or something. How might one get a hold of those songs you apparently composed along with Lone Wolf? Just wondering. Yeah, I'll put it online somewhere and send it to you, GP. Hey Josh, do you chew your smoothies? Depends if they have nuts in them. Sometimes I do. After your project is done, would you consider other not safe for work opportunities? I don't think I would. I'm pretty selective about like how I make money and stuff, or like what I do with my time in general, and so I try and make sure that I'm doing things that I think are worthwhile. Hi Mike, how are things, man? You missed today's Old Scottish firm football match, Rangers v Glasgow Celtic 1-0. Anyway, hope all is well, making the stream is going well, aka Dr. Custard. Good to hear from you, Dr. Custard, aka Joseph McDonald. Is definitely not Ethan pretending not to be Ethan, or someone who wants to think he's Ethan? It's a really good question, Brad. Omar, awesome. What impacts your life in doing this project? What impact? A lot of impacts. If you're asking, how did this project impact my life? It impacted my life in a lot of ways. Most notably, my social interactions are weirder. What do you think? And I have to be constantly worried and taking care of technology and be careful, and I can't go places without service. And I have to charge up my batteries and sleep with the camera on. Say 5 nice and true things about Davy. Davy is very nice. She has a pretty impressive comprehension of statements in English, considering she has learned English as a second language. She can be really funny when she really embraces her her awkwardness and her like funny personas. That's 3. She is very proud of her extremely ugly toes, and she used to be able to do a lot of pull-ups for a girl. Will merch store still be up after the year? I think not, because the merch store, there have to be a certain number of things that are bought to cover the cost of having it up, and I think that will not happen after the year is over, so I'll probably take it down, but I'm not totally sure. I think you're Ethan wanting just to think to yourself and pretending to be what will you do to this channel after the stream is over? I'm not sure. I don't even know that if I was to stream more, if I would do it on this channel or a different channel. I think that I would do it on this one, but since this is kind of like one project, right? Like this is like just a project channel. I'm not sure, but I already have like 11 YouTube channels, so I should really consider consolidating and doing more things on my existing channels rather than making more. Definitely not Ethan needs to be asking questions, not demanding answers like a bigot. Thank you, Lance. Someone had to say it. Shemai, when you, Josh, Shelby, Rachel, whoever, and I go to lunch next week, yes, is already decided. Where would you like to go? That's a good question. Lunch. Maybe this place Josh was talking about, like King Crab or something like that. That sounded kind of cool. He sent me it. I checked out the menu. Looked good. Yeah, I love Davy. She is great. I hope I will see her before you guys leave for New York, Norway. Yeah, she'll definitely, if we go to lunch, she'll definitely come with. How would you handle friends who grew distant because of this project but want to reestablish the friendship when the project is over? The only example that I would be able to think of, because a lot of the ones that people who don't want to like hang out or talk to me this year, they're pretty auxiliary people in the first place that probably are drifting in different directions regardless. But I mean, I think the biggest one, like the elephant in the room of that question, is Sam Clems, and I think there's a lot more to that equation. Like I've been waiting a long time for. Oh, sorry, I've been missing a lot of Twitch questions here. Someone said, hello, how are you? I'm good. Where are you from? College Station. Where are you from? Are you actually streaming your life for you? Yes. Okay, now back to YouTube. I think that, yeah, I've been waiting a long time to sort of like be in a better headspace and be able to comprehend everything that happened and just come to some conclusions in my own mind and like decide whether or not I need to be forgiving or apologizing or what. And I don't think I'm totally arrived at that point yet where I know and where I'm like prepared to have a conversation with him about that. But I think at some point I would like to do that. Like regardless of the past, I think that we're definitely both in bad places, and everyone has opportunities to change things about themselves to not act the same way. But I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I would prefer, honestly, what I would like, and I'm just not sure if I'll be ready to do this by then, and if he would be willing to do this already. But I would like if I could like sort of have a conversation with him while the project is still going, because all the problems that we had have been within this year and somewhat related to the project, or at least catalyzed by the project. And so I think that it would be very fitting, and it would be a good wrapping up of the narrative if we could solve those problems within this year and within this project as well. So if I'm trying to get merch, I shall get it now. Omar, yeah, I would recommend that. What is the hardest question you've ever answered? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to point to one. But Elise used to ask a lot of good questions, like very thought provoking, and I have no idea. This is someone on here. He asks good questions as well, very thought provoking, and so those are hard questions to answer usually, but they're good. I saw a good merch idea on a forum, and I like the questions that are hard because, not obviously I don't want all like super deep questions in here because then I would just be mentally exhausted 15 minutes in, but I think generally make me think a little bit more and maybe get some more interesting answers. I saw a good merch idea on a forum. Do a spin on the movie Marley and Me, except make it Harley and Me. That's a funny idea. It's funny enough that I will screenshot it and consider it. Definitely not Ethan. Is definitely Pauline 2.0. Another account, lol. Yes, I'm kidding. We all stand you. Low gang or Team 10? I've been waiting all year for someone to ask that question, and I'm gonna let Definitely Not Ethan answer it for me. I should make an account called Definitely Not Pauline 2.0, pretending to be Definitely Not Ethan, pretending to be Ethan. Will you be seeking a break from being in front of the camera, live or otherwise, after the year's over, or do you not mind? You just won't be actively placing yourself in front of one. That's a good question too, because I imagine like once the year is over, someone's gonna pull out their phone. Like as soon as I turn the stream off, I bet someone's gonna pull out their phone and be like look, he's on camera without a camera or something like that. And I don't know. I don't think I'll make a big deal out of it. I don't think that I'll be seeking to be in front of one as much. Like I won't be like seeking the attention. I think I'll be seeking the attention less. Having spent so much time in front of a camera, but I don't think that would bother me just to like be on camera. How do you plan on keeping the friendships you made from the stream? Just probably the same way that I keep all my other friendships. Will you be staying in College Station? No, I'm going to be mobile next year. What is the impression of the Mormon missionaries besides the one that kept getting closer to you physically that drew a half circle? I didn't even notice that, Toshi. I thought it was funny that you mentioned that. I didn't even notice it, but I thought they were really nice, and they fit the Mormon stereotype that I already have in my mind of nice people, good to have conversations with. I thought they were great to talk to. The guy who talked to us first, I think his name was Owens. He was really a really fun guy to talk to. Someone I'd totally hang out with. Hi, Michael. Did you learn anything about your mom from the Part 2 podcast? Yeah, I absolutely. From the 2-part podcast. Sorry. Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to that. In the same way that my mom probably learns about me from this project and maybe from Q&As and stuff like this, it was really beneficial for me to hear her talk about me and other things related to her life to someone else in like a curated form. What's an off-camera activity you're really looking forward to doing again? Just maybe like swimming in the ocean, skiing. Oh yeah, skiing's number one. That's really cool. I'm really looking forward to doing that. Just a lot of things that are like you just need to be able to run around, sprint around, and like jump and stuff like that. I'm really excited about that. Are you going to be scaling any more rooftops? I'm never going to stop scaling rooftops. Next, no, not a question, but Danny Cho, thanks for the generous compliment, by the way. If you and Sam did that, it would give the project perfect closure. Yeah, and it would give my life perfect closure in that sense. Like, I don't like having dissonance in my friendships. Clearly, I was really happy to solve the I mean, it's pretty common knowledge. I was clearly really happy to solve the Elise thing when that happened, and I was very happy to find common ground with Rachel as well and sort of reestablish that friendship, because I don't like having like people who are mad at me or don't like me or like enemies that especially if I feel like maybe it is partially my fault. So I try and I definitely would like to solve that. Did you expect to meet locals that got invested in the stream? I did not. Absolutely not. I had no expectation of that. But the even after the news thing, I did not expect that. But I think that's one of the coolest parts of the project is you and Shelby and Toby, who didn't find out about it from the news project, but just like that's been super dope to make real life relationships out of it. I just remember, what's another way to acquire your merch since I'm having issues with shipping? Allie, I remember you saying something about this, I think. Let me make a note to check this out again. I believe what's wrong, and I think that I know how to fix this. I believe what's wrong is that Shopify has this like this point where it won't let you, once you like apply a coupon code of a certain percent, it will not let you make the sale. It will say there's like a shipping error, and you'll be able to see the difference if you add the coupon code or don't. And it's like if it's a certain percentage of like losing money or something on the sale, it just doesn't let you do it. And I don't know if there's a way to override that or not, but I will look into that, because I think with certain coupons the margins are negative. So if I can't find a way to override that, then I'll just have to like add $1 or something to the prices until that does not have that error. Logang, are you and your brother's twins? Who's older? My brother's older by 1.5 years. Would you consider keeping a newsletter going for your previous adventures? I've considered it a little bit. I don't think I've come to like a decision on that, but yeah, I'd say it's still up for consideration. Better of two. Would love to see that with you and Sam back at the beginning. Went back to the beginning of the stream and enjoyed most of your interactions. There are parts of your friendship that were great, brought out your other side. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when I even on my like last like phone call with Sam, one of the highlights of my highlights channel where it's like the end of my relationship with Sam or something like that, the final chapter. I don't know what the thing's called, but if you go back, you'll find it. I told him like I had a lot of fun hanging out with you at first, and that's true. Like he's a really fun guy for me to hang out with, but there were just certain aspects, and then like obviously a couple actions towards the end that just like I was appalled by, and like I just thought there was no way I could be friends with someone like this, and I was very like disappointed in myself for having spent so much time in that situation, but some of that I've like after spending more time apart from it, I feel a little bit differently about. But I think there's potential for at least not like having any lingering animosity between us. Hi, Michael. How sexual things on camera won't really have a lasting negative impact on one's future. I think that maybe for most people it probably would, or I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, I just don't know enough about that. But I'm just aware that like I am not interested in being A, employed by anyone in particular or in general, and B, employed by especially anyone who would have a problem with me doing something like that or doing this project or any aspect of this project, are basically someone who would have a problem with like the way that I've chosen to live my life. So that's the reason. That's the main reason why like there's no concern for me in doing something like that. Like I'm on my own path, and I'm aware that there are like doors that are closed by me doing what I'm doing, but it doesn't. There's no reason for me to be bothered that doors are closing if they're like doors a mile away from me in the opposite direction that I would never go knock on in the first place. You know what I mean? Or never want to open. So it just doesn't bother me. What was your impression of Toshi when you met him at IRL? I didn't know what to expect at all, actually. I only talked to him a little bit, and so I was just surprised when someone was like, "Hey, I'm Toshi." But it was cool. He was really nice. It was fun hanging out with him. Are you 1 month left to go? I'm actually liking the stream from Twitch. Whoa. Fully mobile for how long and around what area routes? Patrick, I think probably for about 5 or 6 months, and probably just in the winter around the south area more, like South U.S., and then as things get closer to summer, maybe places that are less hot. Just basically following mild climates, but moving all around. What would be your reaction and thoughts of your parents wanting to do streaming just like your project? I would be very supportive. I would tell them that it's hard, and I would try and explain to them the pitfalls and things that can go wrong and how it affects your life doing it and some of the bad parts about it. But I would be happy to help them and encourage them in that journey and process. Can people bring friends to New Year's Eve at College Station? Sure. Yeah, as long as they're 100% okay with everything that has to do with being live streamed all the time and they're not uncomfortable at all. And they're good people. They have to be very good people, because we don't want anyone that we don't trust in the house, obviously. Commute. Yes, for a certain mission in Japan speaking Portuguese. It has kind of gone along with other languages. I was bilingual at one time. Now bilingual. I've never heard that before. What is your plan after this project finishes? I'm just gonna move in my car. What Elise thing? JK, good for her. Team members. If I order merch before the year ends, will it ship everything? Yes, yeah, it will. All of that will happen regardless. Wait, so you and Elise are totally cool now? I mean, I think so. I don't talk to her a lot, but yeah, I don't think that we have any problems. Non-serious question: what part of a kids movie scared you when you were growing up? E.g., Littlefoot's mom dying. Kids movie, maybe like Bambi's. Whichever one of her family members got shot, or his. I don't know if Bambi's a girl or boy, but it didn't really bother me that much. But I just remember it pretty vividly. It was kind of sad. When in Nemo, when all the fish eggs got eaten, that was honestly really sad. Who can do more pull-ups, you or your brother? I can definitely do more pull-ups than Steven. Do you think that you yourself are the most stubborn person you know? Stubborn? Lance, I think you're pretty stubborn, if I were to tell the truth. I don't know. Do you think I'm pretty stubborn? Hi, Pheasants. What movies are you looking forward to seeing in theater this year, but couldn't because of the live stream? I'm looking forward to seeing Star Wars, and probably nothing else in theaters. But there were some good ones out in theaters that I will see on DVD or something at some point, I'm sure. You missed the first part of my question. I was asking if Rachel's journey from cutting you off to not having safe for work on having sex on cam with you validate your argument about it not being a big deal. Yeah, it did, but it's kind of hard. It's weird to explain because there's like a missing aspect of the story that I can't share. It's like private information for her that explained her side a lot more. But I didn't know it. She didn't tell me until like after we had sort of like squashed the disagreement. So I mean, I guess like a little bit validating, but there was never really a rift in the idea in the first place. So, or there wasn't the same, she didn't have the same issue with it that I thought she did, or that she was acting like she did when she was withholding a pertinent piece of information, and ultra pertinent. But that's was all her choice, and the way that she dealt with it and I dealt with it, it all worked out. So, has anyone ever said you look like a certain celebrity? I've only heard like one ever, and it was some pretty obscure actor or something. I don't remember who it was. You mentioned you're now in Better Places Roller Project. Alright, you didn't expect to be here if it wasn't for the stream. What part of the stream did that? Was it purpose, time, perspective? I think it's perspective. And then the time element is, yeah, well, I think that its perspective was the impetus for change, and then the purpose and time were the sustaining factors, because knowing that I'm going to be doing something that gives me that is a purpose for an extended period of time, say 8 months or 9 months, when I had whatever realization that I wanted to change some things, that I knew that was my window of time that I could do whatever changes, and I would still be doing something in the meantime that is a purpose. And I knew that I was going to be basically in College Station for that whole time, and so this was my opportunity to affect some change in my life if I wanted to. Would you be sticking to small towns or big cities? Have you not looked that far ahead yet? The one thing that I've historically looked for when living in a vehicle is college campuses, because they have a lot of amenities that are essentially free as long as you look remotely like a college student, and they'll probably have pianos to play as well. So that doesn't really answer the question, but probably not towns that are so small that they don't have that, unless I'm going out in the mountains or whatever for some wilderness type stuff. But maybe some big cities as well. Just that some big cities, they have higher crime, and it's hard to find good parking and stuff, so that can be problematic. I will be there for New Year's. What do you want me to bring? Sushi, dumplings, candies? The first two. Bring sushi and dumplings. Skip that. Brings candies for Davy, but I don't want any. Littlefoot's more. End of question until Michael catches up. Fav Disney princesses and why? Or Fav Disney princess. The one from Frozen. Elsa? Is it her name? She's the best one. And I don't actually have any good reason why. I've watched that one. Actually, Moana was really good too. I liked both of those Disney movies. And I didn't have enough of a conscience. I wasn't conscious enough when I watched all the other Disney movies to know or be aware of what the other princesses were like. So, maybe it's not fair. But everything is subjective in life, so you get what you get. I thought you meant to do that. Alright, so that's just about the end of the questions. I'll answer all these ones that are here right now. What book are you reading? The one you're holding before you go to sleep. It's called Grand Obsession. It's about this woman looking for a piano, and then she finds a piano, and then it doesn't have the same tone that it had when she bought it, and so she tries to figure out why it has a different tone. And it sounds super boring, but it's only partially boring, and some of it's super interesting, talking about like different tunings of pianos and stuff, and like voicing and these really intricate things that they do to the hammers of pianos to get different sounds, and it's crazy stuff that I never ever thought about, and I don't have a good enough ear to pick up on anyways. What do you think would Chris Burden say about your project or you if he was still alive? Is he dead? Chris Burden. Whoa. I did not even know he was dead. That's insane. Melanoma. That's too bad. Wow, that sucks. I think that he would think that it's awesome. I think that he would love it. I think that's very in line with something he would do. But he was he was an extremist artist. Like, he did some extreme stuff. And some of it smaller scale, time-wise, than this, but in terms of like discomfort and the intensity of the project, probably a lot higher level of intensity. This was a good Q&A. Let's see what we got. Favorite flavor of cream cheese? Maybe like honey or something, or some kind of berry. Confirmed. Have you considered making dumplings instead of buying them? I've done that in the past. It's more work than I want to put into it. Hunter Fox and Lance Goodfellow here. Lance Hunter's here. I didn't even see Hunter's messages if he said something. But thanks for Hunter. All right, thanks for coming on, and good to see. This was like a big family reunion Q&A. Lots of fun. This will be added to the favorite streams playlist, which if you have not seen, there's a playlist on this channel called My Favorite Stream.